Hi, this is Brian. Welcome back to another Heroic Plus One. In our last Plus One, we talked about Seth Godin and his new book, The Practice. Of course, me being me and our work being what it is, I talked about the ultimate practice, moving from theory to practice to mastery together today. Now, when I wrap that Plus One up with my go-to, not someday, today line, I wanted to link to a Plus One on Someday I'll. Then I realized we don't have a Plus One on Someday I'll yet, so before we get back to work with Seth, we're going to spend some time with another great teacher. Please open your Heroic app to the Philosopher's Note on No Excuses by Brian Tracy. On page 1 of that note, you will find Mr. Tracy telling us, and I quote, "Not only do we all want the same things, but we all know what we have to do to achieve them. And we all intend to do those things sometime. But before we get started, we decided that we need to take a little vacation to a wonderful fantasy place called Someday I'll. We say that someday I'll read that book, someday I'll start that exercise program, someday I'll upgrade my skills and earn more money, someday I'll get my finances under control and get out of debt, someday I'll do all those things that I know I need to do to achieve my goals. Someday." Brian continues by saying probably 80% of the population lives on Someday I'll most of the time. They think and dream and fantasize about all the things they're going to do someday. End quote. Someday I'll. I think we'd all agree that taking up residence on Someday I'll isn't a very heroic thing to do, eh? And that's today's Plus One. Are you hanging out on Someday I'll? What's one thing you've been planning to do someday that you might want to revisit and schedule for now? Got it? Seriously, what's one thing you know you could be doing, should do, that you've been putting off? Let's channel our inner Mel Robbins' 5-second rule launch sequence in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, that thing, and win it, shall we? Are you all in, hero? If so, it's time to move off of Someday I'll. Here's a one-way ticket to Mount Eudaimonia. Let's take the next baby steps toward the summit today.